Welcome to Storm Shelter Cinema at Arlington High School, the movie review show where movies either get a boom or doom. Today we'll be reviewing the adventure-packed sci-fi film, The Martian, released in 2015, directed by Ridley Scott. I'm Brayden Wheeler, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Allyson Zandy.
The Martian follows the character Mark Watney, an astronaut who has just been stranded on Mars after a mission with his team. Now he must use what little resources he has to survive. When he finally creates a signal to Earth, it becomes a race against time for NASA to bring Mark home.
I thought this implicit meaning of the film was very clear and cut. I think the implicit meaning of this film is the importance of never giving up no matter the obstacles. As you see in the film, astronaut Mark Watney goes through many tough and unfortunate events on Mars as a storm passes through on him and his crew's mission, causing him and his crew to leave Mars. However, searching for a rover, he gets struck by debris from the storm, which made his crewmates think he was dead, and they ultimately leave him behind. Mark is ultimately tasked with surviving with the little remaining resources, such as food, water, and technology left on the campground, in hopes that NASA will discover that he is still alive. Despite the tough situation, Mark is able to use his resources to grow crops on a planet that doesn't naturally grow food, and is able to eventually contact NASA through old leftover technologies and satellites. In the end, Mark is saved by his fellow crew and with the help of NASA. This shows how tough Mark was in an impossible situation. He could have easily given up and died on Mars, but fought for his life to eventually get back home.
I interpreted the implicit meaning as how people can start to try more through the disparity. Going further into this, Mark knows he will die soon if he doesn't make an attempt to survive. Obviously, being desperate to survive, Mark does what he can with what he has. Mark is able to dig up an old NASA satellite from the 90s and communicate to Earth using it, displaying the length he'd go to be able to have a slight chance of signaling to Earth with an old machine.
One formal element that I thought was really cool was the editing and the depth of field shots taken specifically to the features of the planet Mars. Now, obviously this film wasn't made on Mars, but The Martian gives us a sense of realism and did a great job of displaying the red planet with its dusty landscape and rocky surface, as if the film actually took place there. The Martian also does a really great job of giving an accurate representation of Mars from space as well.
A formal element that stood out to me in the film was the visuals. Throughout the film, the visuals displayed a realistic element, specifically with it partly taking place in outer space. They flowed really well and displayed the parallel between Earth and Mars in a visually appealing way. As the movie presented to me, the watcher, with the wide shots of Mars landscape, it made me feel more engaged in the film just from the visuals alone.
I'm just going to go right off the bat and say that I really enjoyed this movie. Personally, I'm a fan of sci-fi and space films, so that really contributed to this. I really liked the acting of Matt Damon playing Mark Watney and Jessica Chastain as Commander Lewis. Both were very effective in their roles. The cast was very star-studded with other famous actors as well, with Michael Pena, Kate Mara, and Donald Glover as well. I thought this movie was about as entertaining as it can get. It had you on the edge of your seat to see if Watney was able to be saved after being stranded on Mars. Matt Damon also brings a nice sense of humor to the character throughout the movie in some moments, which ultimately made this adventure-packed movie really fun to watch. I would definitely recommend watching this film, and that is why I give it a thumbs up. What are your thoughts about The Martian?
Okay, I agree. I really, really like it. And first, what you said with like the actors and everything, I thought like the main character, Matt Damon, he was really funny in it, and it made the film like really like fun to watch. I usually don't really like sci-fi films just because they can like, sometimes they can get like weird or like boring, but I think his acting and like just like the context of everything made it like kind of more lighthearted. But yeah, what did you like more think about it?
I thought the acting was really good for Matt Damon, as you mentioned. I think he really gained some experience because I think a year or two before this he played in Interstellar, which is another sci-fi sort of film. But I think he did a really good job in that movie. But although he played a little bit of a different role in this one, but I think he did really good in it. And I would definitely recommend watching this movie again.
Okay, I didn't know he was in Interstellar, which that's more interesting. And like, I guess it does like show that he has more like experience in it now. But I do, like I said, I do really like the movie. I think there were some points of the plot where like it wasn't as realistic to me, like, or like it was just kind of frustrating to watch, I guess. Like they took so long to like try to figure out how to save him, or they were like, we're gonna take a year to try to save him. But I'm like, you should try right now. Like, hurry up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. One thing one thing that kind of really like made me like mad watching the movie was the fact that they didn't tell the crew that he was still alive. They knew,
Yeah.
NASA knew that he was still alive, and they waited so long to tell the crew whenever they could have just told them immediately, and they could have probably just sent the crew back to Mars to potentially save him. It took them way too long to do that.
Exactly. So that's why like I feel like maybe a part of the movie was like a little slower, like they were dragging it on, just because like there were so many things that they could have done to like make the process quicker and save him, and they didn't. And I was like watching with my mom, and we were both like, oh my gosh, like please hurry up, it's taking forever. But question, who was like your favorite like character in the movie, and like what did you think about like their acting, like their journey?
I don't mean to be biased when I say this, but I'm just going to go ahead and say Matt Damon yet again. I really like the comedy that he presented. There's really some funny moments here and there. One of my favorite moments was whenever he found out that they didn't tell the crew that he was still alive.
That was funny.
And they didn't show what he said, but you can tell it was just a really funny moment. And they think the people in NASA, they like saw what he was like typing towards them, and it was.
Yeah,
I
like that. Funny. That was a funny part of the movie. Okay, well, thank you for joining us today on Storm Shelter Cinema. We reviewed The Martian, released in 2015, directed by Ridley Scott. I'm Allyson Zandy, and I like the movie and give it a thumbs up. My co-host Brayden Wheeler also liked the movie and also give it a thumbs up. We'll see you next time at the movies.